So I'm going to be trying to do something new um, this time around because it doesn't seem like I'm always hitting everyone. I'm not. It's all. I don't know if that's Facebook, but I really can't afford organic views. Nothing but organic views, I should say. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to do videos and see if I can't get better reception. Of course, leave comments down below of how I can better serve you as my viewership. I really hope for this to take off and possibly to be something that I can do in my free time and really get my voice out there. So yeah, I mean, maybe if it's good enough, I can even make it to YouTube, possibly. See if I can't get a following there. So, and just try to help a lad out, if you will. But without further ado, on with the show. And our first themed month, Steampunk Month. Now, I've covered the avant-garde with acts like baby metal, things that really subvert the narrative of certain genres in fun and interesting ways. And I really think that an entire month is appropriate for some of these themes, including steampunk. Now, what is steampunk before we get into the very acts that I'm going to be talking about? Well, it's a pop culture movement that combines modern day technology with, I guess you could call it, old time British stuff. I mean, primarily people use Victorian England as a starting point, but going by the history, there's a lot of different time periods that people use to inspire their steampunk, which has this great effect for steampunk music because you get everything from harsh, sort of more industrial sounding metal to something very light, which we're going to be covering today, hip-hop, otherwise known as Chap-hop. And today we're going to be talking about two of the founding acts within this subgenre that basically takes hip-hop, some of the trends, and makes it into complete proper English, well, I guess we'll get on with it. Um, you know, yeah, I so we're going to, and to start off this show, I guess we're going to start with Mr.B, the gentleman rhymer. Now, this chap, who does covers of rap songs in a very English style, he replaces a lot of the instrumentation with things like ukuleles and really, really overdoes the lyrics to make it very, very proper and sort of long-winded. And he prides himself on that. And the great thing about him is that he does it so completely. There's a real sense of authenticity within his style, because it's not just a slight overlay or a slight twisting. No, he completely overdoes a song. The lyrical content is much greater. The instrumentation is completely reworked to his style. And what really remains is this very authentic feeling, um, of rap. I mean, where he is similar in, something more than style, um, is the themes he tends to put in. He's very narcissistic. He makes it very bluntly clear that he's the founder of this very, this almost godlike subgenre of hip hop that's, improving the language. And speaking of language, there are songs that, admonish certain characters of not speaking properly, or generally bad practices that, infect hip hop or infect, the common British man, and there are some songs that really remind me of, My Fair Lady, why can't the English learn to speak? Which is great. It's all great fun because it feels like he's actually, he could actually be a rapper from England in maybe not Victorian time, but sometime between that and maybe Thatcher. Just highballing it. It's the thing that authenticity brings, though. He's so complete that it's often hard to listen to him in long stretches, I find, because he's very much, especially with his later albums, he really loves to overdo the common rhythms, the common instrumentation, even in his voice. He won't differ a lot track to track. So albums tend to string together, which is why I put him on shuffle with someone else, with the rest of my music, really, given the limitations of my player. And so really that one track doesn't feel like another. But still a very good listen, sounds very authentic, and really a cracking good time. It wouldn't be till 2 years later, though, that another opponent entered the field with Professor Elemental, and unlike Mr.B, the gentleman rhymer, Professor Elemental does complete originals that differ in slight ways to Mr.B without losing much of the authenticity. I'll get to some small critiques later, which I do think do harm his work, but again, not so much that it's unlistenable. Now, where he does differ from Mr.B is largely in tone and subject matter. He's much more aggressive, much more of maybe an Eminem, where Mr.B might be Macklemore, if such a comparison comes naturally from someone from a white dude like me. And there's things like where Mr.B might harp on, rap or Chap-hop. Professor Elemental is really more strongly in the camp of being of British nationalism, and here's a great tale from when I went to Africa and fought with alligators, and that sort of fashion. It's really quite more of a egotistical, in a fun but aggressive manner, you could say, going from Mr.B. But what is similar to Mr.B is the amount of pomp and circumstance, both are very highfalutin. In fact, both got into a rap feud, a few years ago, which, spanned several tracks, several videos. There were a few attack songs on each side. Um, that were really quite fun, coming from the two different styles. Um, and of course they wrapped it up in the end. And in fact, in 2012, the concession track was on Professor Elemental's most recent album, in 2012. And both appeared in each other's videos, conceding how fun or chappy the other guy was. Um, yeah. And that's what honestly I take away from these two, is that they really sell the topic of hip hop to me as someone who might not appreciate a lot of hip hop otherwise. There's a very, I don't know, different sense that proves to me in many ways that avant-garde can be better than a lot of the authentic hip hop. But now, to be fair to you, there are a few flaws I find in Professor Elemental. In that, sometimes when when he goes on his rants, his lyrics feel a lot less original. They could almost pass for these days as indie rap. Someone who, doesn't take the route of putting it in a different time period, but still, but still trying to increase the language a bit, which takes away kind of from the authenticness, but not enough to really break it, because again, the song totally shifts. He completely uses a set of instruments that are unique almost to the genre. And so, still a piping good time, and I really think that both, if you can't, in my opinion, you can't just go with one, you have to go with both. And that is, and of course there might be others that I haven't mentioned. I haven't been able to get a lot into into this subgenre because, well, my energy was sapped a little bit. But I will definitely, it is a genre I will be looking even more into because of this. Anyways, that is the first installment of Steampunk Month. Coming up next time, I'm going to be covering ballad bands. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, I guess like this video, comment on what worked, what didn't. Do I need to make any radical changes to it? And I guess that's where, and as always, tweet, comment things that you want me to do, if anything, because I want to serve you. I want to, be a reviewer who, helps you, or gives you another opinion on, music, media, film, all this sort of stuff. And yeah, hopefully this goes over well, and if not, I will certainly see you again next week. I'm sorry about the hiatus, but I think I have things back on track. So yes, we'll just go with that. And as I'm horrible at ending videos, we'll just close this out. Um, Good day, and as always, keep your ear out for good music.